I'm back. Coffee. The word. So, someone kept telling me to bring my other Bible. I have a Bible on my phone. I need my Bible on computer, but I need I left both of them in the car. But anyway, so, alright. Alright, so I'm gonna start by reading, y'all, because I'm reading from my study Bible now. Just a little background history, like why I be loving study Bibles. Hold on one second. Real raw and uncut. I be giving y'all that, because once I get enough money, boy, I ain't even be thinking. I don't even think like that. Because everything happens for a reason. I'm gonna get some more money. I'm gonna give me these good cameras and stuff. Because I got a camera. I kind of got a camera. But yeah. But, alright. So, 1 Corinthians author. The language, style, and theology of 1 Corinthians are all typically Pauline. Paul identified himself as the author, and the authenticity of this claim has never been seriously challenged. Date. The Church of Corinth was established by Paul about AD 50 during an 18-month stay on his second missionary journey. Later, while in Euphrates, on his third journey, Paul received disturbing reports of sexual immorality among the Corinthian believers. In response, he wrote them a letter which has not been found. Dang, I ain't know that. Some from the household of Chloe, who may have been a member of the church in Corinth, went to Paul, informing him of divisive factions within the church. Before Paul could reply, another delegation from Corinth arrived with a letter containing questions. Paul immediately sent Timothy to Corinth to help correct the problem. He also wrote a letter anticipating that it would arrive before Timothy did. Paul wrote 1 Corinthians near the end of his time in Euphrates, about AD 5-6. Background, the setting. Corinth, located on a narrow isthmus. Isthmus of land, was the political capital of Greece and the seat of its commercial and intellectual life. As the land route between northern Greece and the Peloponnese, and the funnel controlling shipping between the east and the west, Corinth was the emporium of Mediterranean trade. The city had a reputation not only for luxury, but also for sexual vice and scared prostitution. Ancient Corinth had been the site of a temple of Aphrodite, the goddess of love, where hundreds of temple prostitutes had piled their trade. That's crazy. Corinth was totally destroyed in 146 BC, but the Greeks quickly reinstated goddess worship when the city was rebuilt by the Romans 100 years later. Roman deities, as well as the mystery cults of Asia and Egypt were introduced to Corinth at that time. At least 26 temples and sacred places were built to honor the various gods and goddesses. Furthermore, along with the massive influx of people came a significant Jewish population who built a synagogue to worship God. Corinth attracted tradesmen, businessmen, philosophers, and artists from all corners of the known world. It was a bustling cosmopolitan center with a broad plethora of peoples, cultures, and religions. The purpose. 1 Corinthians was written to resolve ethical, doctrinal, and practical problems that had arisen in the recently established church in Corinth. The audience. Corinth was a Roman colony, and many of its citizens immigrated from Italy. The population was augmented by Greeks, Levanites, including Jews, Egyptians, and Asians, both culturally and commonly. The church mirrored this diversity among the people. Paul named in his letter were Jews, Romans, Greeks, Asocrates, and slaves. The Corinthians were proud of their knowledge. They considered themselves spiritually mature. Throughout this letter, Paul contrasted worldly and spiritual wisdom. His primary theme was that love and not knowledge provides the basis for Christian ethics. Okay. I need some more coffee. I'm tired. Tired. Alright. So, that was the background on 1 Corinthians. I want to just jump in and jump around and do how I do, but I don't want to confuse nobody and stuff. So, we just gonna have fun, because I don't want it to be boring and stuff. So get your Bibles. I hope y'all got y'all Bibles. I usually don't like the King James Version, but this King James Version I like. So, this is 1 Corinthians 10. And it says, learn from the past. So, moreover, brethren, I would not that ye should be ignorant, how that all our fathers were under the cloud, and all passed through the sea, and were all baptized unto Moses in the cloud and in the sea, and did all eat the same spiritual meat. And did all drink the same spiritual drink. For they drank of that spiritual rock that followed them, and that rock was Christ. But with many of them, God was not well pleased, for they were overthrown in the wilderness. Always wanted God to be pleased with me, man. Secret things in my heart. Okay, so what I'm going to write down from that was only 5 scriptures. And I'm going to do 3. And did all eat the same spiritual meat? And did all drink the same spiritual drink? For they drank of that drink of that same spiritual rock. And that rock was Christ. They have the R capitalized in here. That's amazing. And Christ. So then I'm gonna jump over to, if we look at this, this is First Corinthians 8:7. Oh, you know what? I didn't even read. Let me go to the study Bible. What was this? 10. 1 Corinthians 10. Okay, this one is warnings from Israel's history. Likewise, and over here in the King James Version, it says learns from the past. So, For I do not want you to be ignorant of the fact, brothers and sisters, that our ancestors were all under the cloud and that they all passed through the sea. They were all baptized into Moses in the cloud and in the sea. They all ate the same spiritual food and drank the same spiritual drink, for they drank from the spiritual rock that accompanied them, and that rock was Christ. Nevertheless, God was not pleased with most of them. Their bodies were scattered in the wilderness. Now, these things occurred as examples to keep us from setting our hearts on evil things as they did. Alright, so that was that. Y'all got that? Same thing pretty much. But if we go back to eight, 7, 1 Corinthians 8:7. But not everyone possesses this knowledge. Some people are still so accustomed to idols that some people are. But not everyone possesses this knowledge. Some people are still so accustomed to idols that when they eat sacrificial food, they think of it as having been sacrificed to a god. And since their conscience is weak, it is defiled. But food does not bring us near to God. We are no worse if we do not eat, and no better if we do. Be careful, however, that the exercise of your rights does not become a stumbling block to the weak. For if someone with a weak conscience sees you, with all your knowledge, eating is an idol's temple, won't that person be emboldened to eat what is sacrificed to idols? So this weak, brothers and sisters, for whom Christ died, is destroyed by your knowledge. When you sin against them in this way and wound their weak consciousness, you sin against Christ. When you sin against them in this way and wound their weak consciousness, you sin against Christ. What does that mean, though? What does that mean? What is it? Alright, let me read this up. Therefore, if what I eat causes my brother or sister to fall into sin, I will never eat meat again, so that I will not cause them to fall. Okay. All right. So, be a good example. Howbeit there is not in every man that knowledge. For some with consciousness of the idol unto this hour eat it, as a thing offered unto an idol, and their consciousness being weak is defiled. But meat condemneth us not to God, for neither if we eat, or are we the better, neither if we eat not, are we the worse. But take heed lest by any means this liberty of yours become a stumbling block to them that are weak. For if any man sees thee which has knowledge sit at meat in the idol's temple, Shall not the conscience of him which is weak be emboldened to eat those things which are offered to idols? And through thy knowledge shall the weak brother perish for whom Christ died. But when ye sin so against the brethren, and wound their weak consciousness, ye sin against Christ. Wherefore, if meat make my brother to offend, I will eat no flesh while the world standeth, lest I make my brother to offend. Okay. Who's that? Somebody said something on my thing. I can't see what they said that, but yeah. Sorry. Okay, yeah, that was that. Alright. But it was something else. So, know ye not that which run in a race run all, but one receiveth the prize? So run that ye may obtain. And every man that striveth for the mastery is temperate in all things. Now they do it to obtain a corruptible crown, but we an incorruptible. I therefore so run, not as uncertainty, not as in uncertainty so fight I, not as one that beateth the air, but I keep under my body and bringing it into subjection, lest that by any means, when I have preached to others, I myself should be a castaway. If I do this willingly, I have a reward. But if against my will, a dispensation of the gospel is committed unto me, what is my reward then? Verily, that when I preach the gospel, I may make the gospel of Christ without charge, that I abuse not my power in the gospel. I do not want to abuse my power in the gospel. I like that. Alright, y'all. So anyways, we're finna really go to Proverbs because alright. I've been studying Proverbs for a while. So there are a lot of precepts in Proverbs. Not only Proverbs, but also Psalms. So right now, one of my favorite books is Proverbs. Ooh, sorry. You gotta go grease this joint. But anyways, so my favorite book is Proverbs. And Proverbs just be breaking down a lot of like life principles, laws, precepts, and how we supposed to be living. So if you guys want to turn to Proverbs, remember this is not no preaching, no teaching. We're just studying together. You are getting understanding, I'm getting understanding. We just here. Share at the same time. I'm gonna just start now. Okay, this is different because I'm always reading from the easier version to read from because I don't know. I just love the NIV version, so I'm gonna read from this too. Oof. Ooh, okay. The reason for Proverbs. First, the Proverbs of Solomon, the son of David, king of Israel, to know wisdom and instruction, to perceive the words of understanding, to receive the instruction of wisdom, justice, and judgment, and equality, or equity, to give stability to the simple, to the young man knowledge and discretion. A wise man will hear and will increase learning, and a man of understanding shall attain unto wise counsel. To understand a proverb and the interpretation, the words of the wise and their dark sayings. Ooh, I'm gonna go and read that too. The book of James keep popping up. I never really read James like that. I mean, I did because I read the whole New Testament, but that was like when I first, that was so long ago. That was so many years ago. Alright, Proverbs. Dang, I should have read the background, but we'll go back and get on that. Okay. The purpose and theme, Proverbs 1. The Proverbs of Solomon, son of David, king of Israel, for gaining wisdom and instruction, for understanding words of insight, for receiving instruction in prudent behavior, doing what is right and just and fair, for giving prudence to those who are simple, like me, knowledge and discretion to the young, Let the wise listen and add to their learning, and let the discerning get guidance for understanding proverbs and parables, the sayings and riddles of the wise. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. Listen to wisdom. Listen to wisdom. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. My son, hear the instruction of thy father, and forsake not thy law of thy mother. For thy shall be an ornament of grace unto thy head, and chains about thy neck. My son, if sinners entice thee, consent thou not. If sinners entice thee, consent